This is the end of America as we know it.
April 8th, 2024 is when it ends. This is the grand finale, but it all began in 2017. Did you know that the kings of the northern house of Israel reigned? We don't know exactly because there's some overlap. People disagree on this, honestly, and I looked into this. Some people say it's 220 years. Some people say it's 210 years, but you have to know there were two kingdoms of Jacob's 12 sons, 13 if you're counting Ephraim and Manasseh. 13 tribes, 10 in the north, 2 in the south, right? 12, 13, however you want to look at it. The point is that the north, that was always wicked, they always had evil kings. The south at least had some righteous kings. The north, let's take a look at this together. Do you see it on screen? It's a little blurry. It starts with Jeroboam. We're going to talk a little bit about Jeroboam right now as we get into this. And if you go to Hosea, you look at all 19 kings of the north, they reigned for 241 years. From approximately 931 BC to 722 BC. You see that in the bottom right corner there. Well, what does this have to do with America? What does this have to do with the prophecy? What does this have to do with the eclipses? Well, let's do some math really quickly. April 8th, 2024, August 21st, 2017. Let's just look at 2017. If we add 1776, we add 241, we get 2017. Well, okay, that's important. We all know about the American Revolution, right? We all learned about this in history class. At least we should know about the American Revolution. The American Revolution might not be what you think it is. Yes, it was a war that was fought against the British. They had a bunch of mercenaries, even German mercenaries, all kinds of mercenaries. Yes, it was a war, but what the Declaration of Independence was in 1776, let me see if I can find it real quick for you, just so you can see exactly what it was. It was King George. All they did was declare their independence from King George. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. All they did was declare to King George of England, this is what the colonists did, the Americans, the patriots, they said, hey, we're declaring to you, King George, the Declaration of Independence. We are free and independent states. 1776, July 4th. Guys, come on, we celebrate this every single year. They unanimously adopted, Congress unanimously adopted the Declaration of Independence. Authored by Thomas Jefferson mostly. And so yes, 1776 is extremely important. Here's where the story, it's not over yet, because although 1776 is important, you can add 241 years, which is the exact reign of the amount of years of the reign of the Northern Kingdom of Israel in history. That's impossible to be coincidence. But then you have to understand that it was actually the Treaty of Paris. It was actually the Treaty of Paris then that the Revolutionary War was officially declared to be over. The Treaty of Paris, signed in Paris by representatives of King George III of Great Britain and representatives of the United States on September 3rd, 1783, officially ended the American Revolutionary War and recognized 13 colonies which had been part of British America as independent sovereign nation, a independent sovereign nation. We add 241 years to 1783 and we get 2024. We add those 241 years of the Northern Kingdom, just like it was in those days. History is cyclically repeating itself. We are here at a massive threshold in history, a massive tipping point. The world is not going to end. It's just looking like it's the end of America.
Exactly 7 years ago, we witnessed the Great Eclipse of 2017, which crossed through 7 cities named Salem, which is a shortened name for Jerusalem. This year it will go through 7 more cities named Salem, but in a different direction. That's a lot of Salems in the United States. Isn't it funny, though, that the word Jerusalem has the letters USA right in the middle? This year the eclipse goes through 8 cities named Nineveh. This creates a gigantic X over America.
In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hoshea son of Elah became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 9 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not like the kings of Israel who preceded him. Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up to attack Hoshea, who had been Shalmaneser's vassal and had paid him tribute. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hoshea was a traitor, for he had sent envoys to So, king of Egypt, and he no longer paid tribute to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore Shalmaneser seized him and put him in prison. The king of Assyria invaded the entire land, marched against Samaria, and laid siege to it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and deported the Israelites to Assyria. He settled them in Hala, in Gozan, on the Habor River, and in the towns of the Medes. Israel exiled because of sin. All this took place because the Israelites had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them up out of Egypt from under the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods, and followed the practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before them, as well as the practices that the kings of Israel had introduced. The Israelites secretly did things against the Lord their God that were not right. from watchtower to fortified city. They built themselves high places in all their towns. They set up sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. At every high place they burned incense, as the nations whom the Lord had driven out before them had done. They did wicked things that aroused the Lord's anger. They worshipped idols, though the Lord had said, "You shall not do this." The Lord warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and seers. "Turn from your evil ways. Observe my commands and decrees, in accordance with the entire law that I commanded your ancestors to obey, and that I delivered to you through my servants the prophets." But they would not listen, and were as stiff-necked as their ancestors, who did not trust in the Lord their God. They rejected his decrees and the covenant he had made with their ancestors, and the statutes he had warned them to keep. They followed worthless idols and themselves became worthless. They imitated the nations around them, although the Lord had ordered them, "Do not do as they do." They forsook all the commands of the Lord their God, and made for themselves 2 idols cast in the shape of calves, and an Asherah pole. They bowed down to all the starry hosts, and they worshipped Baal. They sacrificed their sons and daughters in the fire. They practiced divination, and sought omens, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. So the Lord was very angry with Israel, and removed them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah was left. And even Judah did not keep the commands of the Lord their God. They followed the practices Israel had introduced. Therefore the Lord rejected all the people of Israel. He afflicted them and gave them into the hands of plunderers, until he thrust them from his presence. When he tore Israel away from the house of David, they made Jeroboam son of Nebat their king. Jeroboam enticed Israel away from following the Lord, and caused them to commit a great sin. The Israelites persisted in all the sins of Jeroboam, and did not turn away from them, until the Lord removed them from his presence, as he had warned through all his servants the prophets. So the people of Israel were taken from their homeland into exile in Assyria, and they are still there.